Okay, it's streaming live is what came up on my,
Mine too.
all right. Still having a little trouble with the comments though, or getting it. I don't even see us live right now.
I don't either.
Mine says
Okay,
recording.
now I do. Go to videos, David,
Okay,
and it'll show live.
still not seeing it here. Live is what came up on my,
It'll show live.
You can hit the refresh if it's not coming up.
Okay, here we go. Live now. Okay, it's streaming live is what came up on my. Okay, we got it. I think we're a little behind though. All right. Well, I guess we can get started. Everybody ready?
Ready?
All right. We're going to get into our committee meetings tonight. Welcome, everyone. We have two pieces of legislation this evening, one first reading, one second reading. We'll go to our first reading, which is Streets and Drainage Committee. Judy?
First resolution, number 20R29. A resolution awarding a bid to North Star Asphalt for the South Main Street resurfacing project and declaring that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage. I'm thinking, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Brian's here, but Paul will know this. The GPD and ODOT reviewed the bids and recommended North Star. I think we've used them before. And the bid was $785,859.80. Am I correct, Paul?
Yes, that is correct. And we are the lead agency on this, even though the vast majority of the funding is coming through ODOT. And we're partnering with Green, we're still the lead agency. And so that's why it's incumbent upon us to accept the bid. So the bid has been vetted by, as you say, GPD, and also it's been recommended by ODOT. And we've worked with North Star, and we've been happy. Brian indicates he's always had a good relationship with them, so that's a good thing. The really good news is—
And Paul, it might be interesting. I'm sorry I interrupted you, but it might be interesting for people to know that we had a lot of bids, and they ranged anywhere from $1,121,265 to the $785,859. So that was quite a saving.
Yeah, absolutely. And they were significantly lower, significantly lower than the projections. This thing was projected at 1.6 million. And as you mentioned, the high bid came in at 1.12 million. Our share on the projection would have been $224,000. But based upon the bids that they came in, our share now will be $84,885. So it is, we do need to get this passed. It's just the way it was set up, and the bidding, and when they opened the bids, this was the first opportunity we had to get this to you. But once this bid is approved, they'll start the process of proceeding forward, and we could be 30 days away or so. At that point, it just depends upon availability, weather, et cetera, to get this project done.
Does anyone have any questions? Do they have a problem with us waiving the 3 reading rule tonight?
No.
Nope. Go for it.
And I will close my meeting at 6:06.
All right. Thank you, Judy. Now we got a
Thank
second
you.
reading, and it's in the Finance Committee. Jim?
We will open the Finance Committee at 6:06. All members are present. Second reading, Resolution 20R28, a resolution authorizing New Franklin to apply for a Bureau of Justice Assistance body-worn camera policy and implementation policy, and implementation BJABWCPIP grant for the purchase of 6 body cameras and travel expenditures for 1 officer to attend 1 national meeting, and declaring that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage. So, as all that said, is for 6 body cameras, 1 docking station for charging those cameras, and then the license fees that go along with it. So the bid for the cameras and everything is $7,304.28. And then to send the officer to this meeting, wherever it is, whatever the purpose of the meeting is, if there's a sales meeting or what, we don't know the exact reason for the meeting. And then for 1 regional peer-to-peer information exchange opportunity, I'm thinking that's a Zoom call, not really sure, but that's $3,500. So we currently have 15 cameras, the same type of camera. So everything comes together, hooks up together with no issues. But we have approximately 21 full and part-time officers. So it'd be nice to have a camera for each person, assigned to each person, so that when there's a situation and somebody needs to pull a video, it's easier to find that video and get that video available for them. I'm always in favor of grants. If we can get a grant for something and get some money and save us some money to purchase something that we need, a fantastic idea. However, in this case, I don't know that I'm so much in favor of it. The grant is for 50%. So that would be $5,406.75. Now this goes to Gatcham Grant is going to write the grant for us, and their fee would be $850, which brings us to $6256.75. That's a difference of only $1,000, $1,047 versus the bid just for cameras in the docking station. Not counting sending an officer to wherever for whatever. So if you take in consideration what we would be paying our 50%, the $850 fee for Gatchel, the cost to send an officer to this meeting, and again, the cost of the meeting and hotel and transportation, all of that is paid for, but we still have to pay the salary of the officer that's going to the meeting. And then we have to pay the salary of the officer that covers for the officer that's going to the meeting. So at that point, we're spending just as much if we were just to buy it at $7,304 straight out from the bid that's on here and not go through this grant process. So the way I'm seeing it, I don't see a reason why we should accept this grant or go for this grant. I don't think it's really in our best interest, and they're really going to save us that much money. Any comments?
Well, Paul, do you know any more about what the officer going to it? Is it training or?
The way this moved down the tracks, this was Leland talked with police. He's out shopping grants. He became aware of this one. I may have to ask him to come and speak on this, or else ask the police. The way it's been explained to me, and part of the fact that the travel was locked into the grant process, is that it's clearly, we can assume safely that it's related to body cameras and the operation and the maintenance of records and et cetera, that it's relevant. To that extent, we don't have much of a budget for training with our police. In fact, very little. So it was somewhat attractive to me when it was presented to me that here was an opportunity to get some funding for some training that otherwise, because of the tight budget, we don't have. I just got the estimate for the cameras. What I don't know is whether or not that's a flat estimate, or if that's an estimate that's part of
Bob, can you hear me?
if that's part of the project. In other words, I'm not sure, and I'm not sure that we couldn't go and buy these same things for $7,300. I don't know the answer to that one either. So I get Jim's point on it. I think there'd be, I support it from the stance that I think there'd be value to the training that otherwise we wouldn't have the money to spend. In terms of coverage, it would likely be the captain that would go, and the chief would still be here. So I get Jim's point, but I don't think it's. I think the additional benefit of the travel, I do feel that we need the cameras. And given the fact that even if it's a wash, I think it's a good wash because we send somebody out there and we get some training. So that's my take on it.
I would like to add that,
Jim?
keep in mind, this is just a resolution to apply. It's not accepting that grant. So our liability is minimal at this point. If we were to, be awarded that grant, we have the choice of saying yay or nay to it once they award it. But once they award it too, you also get to see all the particulars involved of what is covered and those kinds of particulars that you don't have right now. So I just like to bring that to your attention, whether you want to do it or not.
Jim, I have a question.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think you stated that we currently have 15 cameras.
Yes.
Okay, how many officers do we have on duty at one time?
I really don't know. If you take in consideration the officers that are working within the office, and you have 2 or 3 officers out on the field. So you may have 5 or 6 on at any one time. But also keep in mind that if there's a situation and there's multiple officers going and maybe being called in, off-duty officers saying, hey, come in, we need you. We still need to have those cameras for them. And speaking with Captain Bickett, it certainly makes sense. And I get his reasoning for wanting to have each officer having their own camera assigned to them. So again, if there's a situation that we need to pull up a video, it's much easier to find that video if we're looking for a particular officer's video from a particular officer. It's much easier for us to locate that and make sure that each officer has that camera and not scrounging around hoping to find one when they need one type thing. So the idea of getting the 6 cameras certainly makes total sense. And Paul, I certainly understand your concern about whether the pricing that we received is reflective of being part of the grant. And with my research, the pricing is pretty much standard price, what they're charging other communities for the same product. So regardless of whether it's a grant or not, it seems to be their standard pricing. There doesn't seem to be any special pricing here that I saw during my research. So again, I get your issue with the training, but again, we don't know what that training is. I just don't. I think we would spend the same amount of money just buying the cameras ourselves without going through the grant process, and and concentrate our efforts in other areas.
And we don't even know if this training is still available, right? I mean, everything else has been canceled in the world. And what extent, same question. I mean, maybe we can have somebody come in and talk to us. What more training? We already have the cameras, so what more training are we needing? So without knowing that, I kind of agree with that as well.
This is Terry. Everything that's been going on
I've been
recently,
jumping on and
whether
off. Can
people
people
have
hear me?
been, shot recently.
Hello?
I don't see anything wrong with getting this.
I hear you, Dave. No, Terry, no, the cameras, I'm 100% behind. It's just
Right.
how we go about getting them. There's no doubt we need those cameras.
Okay, I just know I've been upset with all that, with having a son do that.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, our share is 5,400.
So are we saying that if we're gonna,
I'm sorry, our share is 5,400 and the grant application is 800, so that takes us up to 62, right? For
That's-
$7,300 worth of cameras. And I guess, Jim, what you're suggesting is there might be another 1,000 floating around somewhere in terms of, I don't know if that's accurate or not, in terms of coverage for, when he's off. I don't, when, and Andy, that's a good point. I don't know, the travel, who knows? It could be delayed, it could be deferred, although they're flying now.
Yeah, that's right.
So those things are happening. I guess, and those are all well thought out arguments, but even if I would think our worst case scenario is we'll spend what we would spend if I just came to you and said, hey, we want to buy 6 cameras right now. I can't imagine that we would be spending more than that. And we would get the benefit of training and travel, which, on top of everything else is a nice perk. I think it's a healthy thing. I wish we could do more of that. That's not a unique managerial thought that I have. You guys that are in business understand that too, that it's not a bad thing to get somebody out of the office and get them into a regional and a national setting. In terms of sharing information, what they might learn, and also, what it does for mental health and morale. So, that's really the perk that we get through the grant, if that's all we get through it. So, but as Susan did point out, this is just an application. So you could revisit it, if we get the grant. And then, at that point, see where we are and decide whether you choose to proceed on it.
Well, I'm not a professional with grants and stuff. If we apply for grants, if we've received grants, does that knock us down on a list of other grants that we would possibly get? New Franklin just got this grant, so we're going to look at, is there a point value or something that might, hurt us in the long run by, applying for a grant that we may not necessarily need?
That's never been suggested to me.
I've never
Susan?
experienced that. I've never experienced that, no.
No, you go for as many as you can go for.
Okay, well, this is the second reading. I'm okay with going for a third reading on this and taking a vote at the next meeting. And if there's any more questions, if anybody wants to do any more research on it, if everybody is of the opinion to go ahead and vote on it tonight, I'm also comfortable with that.
Paul,
Yes.
I just wanted to say, if the training component, we know more about it. I don't want to be in a situation down the road where we don't. There's a problem. And had we gotten training or they had received the training, it might not expose us to an issue down the road. So I think the question is, how valuable would that training be? I like your thoughts, though, camaraderie, fellowship, but if they're offering training, it seems to me there might be a reason for it. And I'd hate to be caught down the road not having training when we could have had training. We're not in any fiscal or financial hole because of it. And down the road, it might be valuable in responding to an issue.
And certainly,
I don't know.
Why don't we, I'm not opposed to taking time on the thing, and we can try to answer that question and get some additional information of exactly how the training fits in with the whole grant process.
Currently, as the information that we've received on it, it only states that it's one national meeting. I know we're assuming it's training, but we don't know if it's training or not. Or it just says a national meeting.
Yeah.
So we don't know.
Well, I'll be happy to try to get some more information if you'd like. And I think that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'd
Okay.
like. Thank you.
Would like to see it again.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
fine.
We'll go to a third reading on this. We'll ask for time.
I'm having trouble. Can people hear me, right?
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
hear you, Dave.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Okay.
Stop
Who?
it, Jim.
Thanks, Andy. Appreciate that.
We will
video.
close the Finance Committee meeting at 6:22.
Here.
Holy moly. All right.
Where are you
Does
getting
Judy's here.
anybody have,
three?
does anybody have anything else for their committees?
No.
No? So we can go ahead and start our council meeting then. I'd like to call the City of New Franklin Council meeting to order at 6:22. Can I get a roll call, please? All right, let's stand for the pledge. I'm sorry. Having all kinds of technical difficulties. All stand for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance to the
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Cox,
Present.
Mr. Hargit,
Yes.
Mrs. Jones,
Present.
Mr. Fetterman,
Here.
Mr. Hawk,
Here.
Miss Norris,
Here,
Mr. Stock.
Here. All right, thank you. Like to make a motion to, or actually I need approval of the minutes of the regular scheduled meeting of May 20th, 2020. I wasn't there. Can I get a motion?
I move.
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a second.
second,
Who
All right.
made the motion?
Andy,
Andy? Thank you.
All right, got a first and a motion and a second. Any comments on the minutes? All right, can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Hargit,
Yes.
Mrs. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Fetterman,
Yes.
Mr. Hawk,
Yes.
Miss Norris,
yes,
Mr. Stock,
Yeah, oh, abstain.
Mr. Cotts,
Yes.
All right, I think that motion passes 6-0. All right, we're gonna move into our public comment. And I'm
I
not
do not
picking any
see
up.
any.
Katie?
I do not see any.
Okay, I have not either. We'll give it a minute here. I'm having all kinds of trouble. As long as you guys can hear me though.
I can hear you.
Here and see it.
All right.
No
You can
comments.
see me also, okay. I'm just getting hit or miss here. All right, we're gonna move through our public comments and move into our legislation this evening. We have a first reading and a second reading this evening. The first reading is resolution number 20-R-29, Kelly.
A resolution awarding a bid to North Star Asphalt for the South Main Street resurfacing project and declaring that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage.
hello,
Hey,
Mrs.
Judy.
Jones?
You with us, Judy?
I am. Sorry. I was on another call. I apologize. I'd like to make a motion that we waive the 3 reading rule.
Second.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion, comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Fetterman?
Yes.
Mr. Hawk?
Yes.
Miss Norris?
yes,
Mr. Stock?
Yes.
Mr. Cotts?
Yes.
Mr. Hargit?
Yes.
All right, that passes 7-0.
I'd like to make a motion that we pass resolution 20R29.
Second.
All right, first and second. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Fetterman?
Yes.
Mr. Hawk?
Yes.
Miss Norris?
yes,
Mr. Stock?
Yes.
Mr. Cotts?
Yes.
Mr. Hargit?
Yes.
All right, that passes 7-0. Thank you. Move into our second reading, which is resolution number 20-R-28, Kelly.
A resolution authorizing New Franklin to apply for a Bureau of Justice Assistance body worn camera policy and implementation policy and implementation BJABWC PIP grant for the purchase of 6 body cameras and travel expenditures for one officer to attend one national meeting, and declaring that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage.
This resolution has been assigned to the Finance Committee, and we ask for time on this resolution.
All right, time has been requested, time is granted. Excuse me, there's no third or pending legislation this evening. We're gonna move into the mayor's report. Paul?
Thank you. The Kungle Road Bridge, I was notified by the city manager at Norton that that there would not be any Ohio Public Works funding, emergency funding, due to the budget cutbacks. That has not been confirmed for me from Columbus, but Robert Fowler sent that over. We are continuing, I'm going to see what I can do to confirm that, and we are continuing to investigate some other funding sources. We're having some discussions, so we haven't given up on that. It's a victim right now, I would say, of COVID and the budget cuts. So we will continue to work on that. The Safety Forces payroll replacement is looking more positive. So there is a possibility there for revenue replacement funding, specifically to be used for payroll for Safety Forces. I just say that right now it looks promising, but believe me, it's a shifting scenario from depending on who you talk to and who okays, but it looks like the auditors okayed that. That could mean anywhere from 400,000 to 1.2 million, depending on how many disbursements there are. So as I'm sure Susan would say, we're not counting on anything until it's in the bank. But we are monitoring it closely. We're lobbying for it. There's still a bill sitting down in Columbus, 310, that the House has not voted on. So we are urging our local representatives, particularly Bill Romer. I've spoken to him and he's assured me that he's up front, he's pounding the gavel for that. So he's pushing already. So it's hard to remember what I covered last time around, but the parks are open. The ball fields are being used for the organized teams. The 10-person limit is still in effect for practices, et cetera. And the ball fields actually are in pretty good shape. Sisler 1 and 2, we did some work on some drainage work and some reseeding. Probably be another couple of weeks before they can get on those. But because unfortunately the rec leagues didn't get to play, we have enough fields for the teams that are playing. The Manchester High School they were good enough to allow our older kids to use the high school field because we don't have a regulation baseball field. So I want to thank them for that. The Tudor House, the weddings are now open again, but they're subject to the same restrictions that the restaurants are. And that means we have to have caterers and we have to have social distancing. So we've met yesterday and again today with some caterers and the tent people. And it's just the kind of thing where you might need twice the tent that you would have otherwise needed to meet the requirements. But we are working to be compliant for a couple of reasons. One, we got a lot of people that they're really hoping they get to get married out there. But we're playing it by the book and we're doing whatever the state allows us to do. And then it also would, create that revenue for us as well. The pantry boxes were distributed, close to 200. We just have a few left. So that was beautiful. And the food drive as well. Most of that has now been distributed. And so I don't think we'll have any problem distributing the balance of that. We had some great volunteers who helped us with that. to man the station up here and also to do deliveries. And we are acknowledging many of those folks. You'll see it on the website tonight. And some pictures of the people that helped us. So it was just what you'd hope a community event like this would be. A lot of support from a lot of different people. We had a group that brought some lunches in, a couple different groups that brought lunches for the police, the fire administration, just as a thank you. So it is gratifying to see the appreciation and the support that the community has extended to all the folks that are working so hard up here. I'm advised the county appraisers are coming out to do appraisals on new construction evaluations. This actually started June 1st. They're going a little faster with it. Well, they started May 11th, but they thought they would be out our way. They're over in Norton now, and they'll probably be here in another week or two. They are physically visiting and assigning values to newly constructed and altered properties. So if you have a newly constructed or an altered property, somebody from the fiscal office will be stopping by. They have identification badges, yellow safety vests, a car marked with an official placard. They don't enter homes. They do weekdays from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. They practice safe social distancing. They'll have PPE. They knock on the front door to inform them that they're there, but they don't need to answer the door. And this is an outside evaluation. So that will be happening and we just want to give you a heads up on it. I am proud to tell you that as far as the census goes, Summit County is at 69%, 69.8. The city of Greene has a 74.6% response. Sadly trailing the city of New Franklin, who's leading the way at 76.8%. That's a big deal. So really proud of the folks out here. Now we got to get that other 23.2% in. And starting the week of June 1st, this week, in coordination with federal, state, and local health, they begin dropping off questionnaire packets at front doors of households. And I'm assuming this is households where they don't have a response from. They do this in areas where a majority don't receive mail at their physical address. So I don't know if any of this is going to happen out here, but I just want to give you a heads up that the census folks may be out distributing some things. Almost done. I want to acknowledge we got from a citizen's commendation was dropped off this week by Francis Kalopoulos, who, as many of you know, gave heart and soul to this community, as did her husband, God bless him and rest his soul. And she dropped off and she, a citizen's commendation, she called 911 a while back, Memorial Day evening. There were some loud bangs, noises by her home. And the officer, Officer Terry Hayslip, responded. She says, the officer arrived, I opened the door, the officer took over immediately. He calmed my very protective dog, started to investigate, and he did, and he found out where the sound was coming from. He talked to the folks that had created the noise, cautioned them. Francis concludes by saying that Officer Hayslip handled the problem diplomatically. My sincere compliments to Officer Hayslip, police chief, for hiring such a professional officer. And really nice of Francis to do that. And we get a fair number of these thank yous, but that was a pretty formal one, so I wanted to share it with you. And then finally, I want to thank Christine Lippincott, Katie Smith, and especially Robert Keith for the production of that virtual Memorial Day video. It was just, you know, yeoman's effort by Robert Keith, an extremely talented individual. I didn't really know the extent of his background and his experience in production. And Katie worked really hard on it. And as always, Christine worked really hard on it. And we've publicly thanked the Legion Post and our singers, but especially I want to thank Robert for all he does. for this community. So unselfishly, he's a real asset, and we really appreciate that. And that's all I got.
All right. Thank you, Paul. Let's go into finance. Susan?
Yes, we are still working pretty much remotely from home. However, next week, we do have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the auditors will be on site with us at the administration building to start their part of the audit. So we'll be in the office more than we're out of the office on those 3 days, but that's where we're going next week. That's what's going to be going on with us. Right now, this week is payroll, so we're working that out to make sure everybody gets their pay on time. And that's it.
What is the plan for you folks going back to work in the office?
I'll
We
let the
haven't
mayor-
pushed it at this
I'll let the
point.
mayor handle that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't pushed it at this point. We could bring them back. It seems to be working pretty efficiently. So as long as we don't lose anything in efficiency, we'll probably keep the process that we have. There is somebody here just about all the time. It's very unusual to not have somebody here. So we haven't suffered in that respect. We are working towards finalizing the security issues so that we can reopen the building itself. And that's set for later this month. They're going to do the windows. They're finishing up the locks. So we'll be able to permit public access again, I would say, to be safe, the beginning of July. And we'll take a look and see where we are at that point in time. And it may be time at that point to bring the staff back in. But it's so far, it seems to be effective, the way things are working. And even though we can bring them back, we don't have to. And I am continuing to check myself on not feeling like this is all over. I think, everybody's got to choose their own path on that one in terms of what you believe and what you don't believe. And is there going to be a surge? Is there not going to be a surge? Do we have to still be careful? Don't we have to be? Should we wear masks? Should we not? Everybody's got to figure that one out for themselves. But at least what the direction we're getting from Columbus and also from Donna Skoda, and she was on the front page of the paper, I think yesterday, and we get to hear from her every Tuesday, is please continue to do the things that have been effective so far and limit the contact, wear the masks, et cetera. So, when if we can get the job done and keep 4 people from being in that office, we'll probably do it as long as we can function effectively, but we'll continue to check it and monitor it.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Susan. Going into old business, any old business?
Four-way stop at Harder Home and Pearlman. Any progress on that?
Yeah, that should be up soon. We're waiting now on the flashing signs that we were going to use at Kungle. We're going to use those at Pearlman. We need the advanced signs that we have to post a distance ahead of that new stop sign to advise people that there's a new stop sign. So those have been, I talked with Brian, and I'm going to say they're ordered. When I talked to him earlier in the week, he said that he intended to do that. If not, I'm sure they'll be ordered tomorrow. But we had that conversation. They'll come in relatively quickly. I would think that that'll be up before the end of the month, and hopefully even sooner. As soon as they come in, they'll put them up. So, it should probably be up by mid-month.
Thank you.
All right. Any other old business? Old business. All right. Moving into new business.
Yeah, I got, if you haven't heard yet, Pirate Days has been canceled this year. Dana Roderick got a hold of me this afternoon and let me know, and I think she made a post as well about it. So just another unfortunate casualty of state of affairs we're in.
All right, thanks. Any other new business? All right, we're gonna move into our public question and answers. I'm looking, I haven't seen anything. Has anybody seen anything, Kelly?
I have not seen anything.
Katie, are you out there somewhere? Nothing?
I've not seen any comments, David.
Okay, I have not either. All right. Bob, how's our viewing tonight? I think Bob's mic's off, or maybe it is to me. Bob, are you there?
You're muted, Bob. You're muted.
Yeah, we're at about 20.
20 viewers?
Yes,
Any comments coming in on your end? I don't see any.
nothing.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay. Well, I know for sure we're not having an executive session this evening.
We are not.
So I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
So
Second,
moved. Second, we have a first and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Well, our next council meeting will be June 17th. And that will be committees at 6. And I don't know if we're still zooming. I guess we got a little time to talk about that, Paul.
Waiting for the word from Columbus or from Donna Scotia. And the word right now from Donna Scotia is that the 10 person limit is still there. So
Okay. All right. Well, okay then. Good seeing everybody. Had some video issues tonight, but it worked out. So thanks, everybody, and we'll talk to you all soon. Good night.
Night.
Night.